Hey, you busy? Mm-mm. Okay, let me run something past you real quick. I noticed something about self awareness. hmm Self awareness doesn't solely require for you to be aware of yourself, but it also requires for you to be aware of the things that irritate you about other people. And I noticed something about me. I noticed that I get irritated when I see that people are not aware of their surroundings. It's one thing to not be self aware, it's a whole other thing to not be aware of the places and the people and the patterns that are creating your environments. And I guess it's because, to be honest, it's my superpower. I also realized about humans that we get irritated about the thing that comes natural to us, but may be a struggle for other people. This is why when we are in relationships, we love people the way that we want to receive love. So if your love language is gifts, you will find that you show people that you love them because that's how you want to be loved. And here you are giving out gifts to someone who just truly wants quality time, and you're trying to mend what is irritating the both of y'all, and you like, how could you think I don't love you? I just bought you A, B, and C. And they're like, but you can't love me because when's the last time you asked how my day was or just spent time with me without being in your phone? And then you're wondering why it's a mismatch because you don't have the self-awareness to realize, oh, I'm loving you the way that I need to be loved. And man, I see the pattern that every time I buy you something, it's you don't look excited. There's not something on you that looks like hooray. Like I was more excited purchasing this for you than you are actually receiving it. And so self-awareness also has a sister cousin fraternal, if you will, that requires for you to be aware of the patterns around you. And I think a lot of people oftentimes are falling into certain traps because they choose to be naive. They choose to be overly confident. Or, equally as dangerous, they feel like, well, I'm just going to do it and God's going to go ahead and, make it all work for my good. And they try to spiritualize their lack of wisdom. Because it is a wisdom in understanding how to show up in certain places, when not to go certain, listen to. It is spiritual discernment. It is the Holy Spirit leading, but it also has to do with you being self-aware of certain things in order to move in wisdom. So I noticed that when I'm reading certain things like Samson and Delilah, I'm like, bruh, the Bible always says, and it has confirmed, and I always believed it. And so God will give us a way of an escape, right? That He will not let any particular worldly thing, any particular desire, he will not let sin have such a stronghold on us that we don't know how to be like, you know what? Let me get up out of here. She looked too good. He's being too flirtatious. The money looked too right. This looks like an opportunity. I'm gonna go ahead and slide out. Y'all could give me the cliff notes afterward, but I can't stay for the rest of the movie. You understand? Like it takes a certain level of wisdom to get there. And so when I'm reading things like Samson, I'm like, you didn't see the first time Delilah asked you something that now you got people coming in the same exact way you told her. You said, hey, if this happens, then my power will be taken. That happens, and now the Philistines are trying to attack you. It didn't happen one time. It didn't happen two times. It happened three times. Do you not see the pattern? What was it about that situation that you were like, I see it, but I'm gonna override it? Is it because you banked on the fact that you're still strong, so you good? Is it the fact that you banked on, nah, Delilah would never? Like, what happened that made you cloud your judgment to the point that you decided, I'm not going to move in wisdom? If not the first time, cool, because we're not perfect. But the second time, you should have been like, time out. She keeps asking me this continual question. And then when I give her the answer, I wake up in a predicament with Philistines around me. I mean, I win, but like, this is odd. This hasn't happened before. She hasn't asked this question before. They haven't been this bold to come to me. Like, y'all got a different kind of boldness. Like, who's tying me up? Who's doing A, B, and C? Who's doing that? What's behind that? And that level of cockiness and confidence can put people in compromising situations. It leads me to believe that a David can see a Bathsheba and see her looking good while she bathing. See that she a brick house. You understand? I can understand where the entanglement, where the download or the seed was planted. But when Uriah the Hittite came to you the first time and you couldn't get him to go back home, and he was like, nah, I'm not going to go back home. And so he's sleeping outside the city gate. And you like, I need him to go back home to sleep with Bathsheba so that we can trick him into thinking that he had relations with her. And the reason why she's pregnant is because he slept with her. And even though the timing may be off, and even though this baby may come out looking just like me, I'm going to come up with this plan that, just kind of cushions this whole entire situation, that buffers out this particular sin. But I need for Uriah to go home. And Uriah didn't go home the first night. The second night, you were like, let me go ahead and get him drunk. Yeah, if I get him drunk, then, the second time is worth the try. And he kept trying. And so at what point do you be like, you know what? Can't do nothing about this. We're just going to send this letter and get him killed. Because at this point, we can't really. But Uriah, what about David having this interest in you going home didn't raise a flag? What was it about the fact that he was like, go home, be with your wife? Okay, now get drunk and go home and be with your wife. What would have happened if you would have been like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to ask her, why is it all of a sudden that David has this extreme interest with me laying down with you? Like, it's never been this interest with you before. It's never been this interest with me before. Actually, I ain't seen him move with nobody in the army like that. So, like, what's up? Like, what we doing? What happened? Or even the more, when's the last time, Uriah, that David gave you a letter and said, hey, go ahead and send this paper text message to Joab and give him this? What about that didn't make you go, I'm going to open this up? Sometimes people move in such a high potent level of naive that they don't realize they're walking into and carrying their own demise. David literally gave Uriah the Hittite a letter that didn't hide anything. Hey, put Uriah in the front of the army, then y'all pull back, let him die, this, that, and this man, the first red flag didn't flag up when it was like, go home. The second warning flag didn't come up in his spirit or his soul at all when it was like, get drunk. Then all of a sudden, now this is weird. You called me out of the army, but then you're sending me back to the army with a letter. Let me see what this letter is about. How much overriding of self do you have to do in order to operate in that level of naive? How much trust do you have to have in one person for you to be able to talk yourself out of not seeing the pattern of like, this is odd, this is new, this is weird? What is it about the pattern of a person that makes you override it and say no, but not King David? Is it because he was a king? That's why you were able to override that? Is it because it was the palace? That's why you were able to override that? It's because your mind was on the army and the fight that was going on that you weren't a part of. So you wasn't really here. You were over there mentally, even though you were here physically. Like, what is happening that's allowing for you to override the obvious? Because just like Samson and just like Uriah, when common sense or awareness of patterns, or however you want to coin it, is masked or buried in any kind of way, it always leads to a demise. Always. There is a ruining of something. There is a killing of something. There is a destruction of some sort. It is the enemy's playground for kill, steal, and destroying. And so I wanted to go back and read Joseph. Any other time that I've read Joseph, I've always read it in a way that was multiple ways. It was either A, look how God puts things together. Oh my goodness, it is true what Romans 8:28 says, that he will let all things come together and work for the good of those who are called. Come on, church. You understand? I read it that way. I also read with look how he endured, and look how he was successful in everything. And I always looked at it with the brighter side. But sometimes you got to crisscross an applesauce with this thing called the Bible and put yourself in the word and go, Joseph, I think I'm seeing that you're a little bit naive, sir. And yeah, it worked out for your good. But I think it could have been worked out in a different way where it also didn't have to be like so close to your harm as well. So let's go ahead and read it in that vein, shall we? I want to read Genesis 37. You know, I'm reading the NLT version. And I want to start from, let's start from the top. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner too. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. 3. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So, one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. 4. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. 5. One night, Joseph had a dream. And when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more than ever. 6. Listen to this dream, he said. 7. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. 8. His brothers responded, so you think you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. 9. So Joseph had another dream. And again, he told his brothers about it. Listen, I have had another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. 10. This time he told the dream to his father as well as to his brothers. But his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? He asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? 11. But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. Pause. Sir, at this point, you not the favorite grandbaby in the bunch. It's too much going on. You a tattleteller? Because you telling what your brothers are not doing and how they not doing it right. And, ooh, they room not clean. Daddy, they tent not clean. So you tattletelling so they don't like you because of that. You your father's favorite. And the evidence of the favorite is he's having special things done for you and special robes made for you. So they don't like you for that. That's the second reason. Third reason, you having dreams. And low key, they got dream interpretations. So they already foresee in the future, you about to be over them in the future. So wait a minute. You over them now and you going to be over them in the future. It's enough hate to go ahead and I don't know, perhaps do something mean to you. So maybe you need to be aware. My brothers don't rock with me like that. Not only that, I told my father my dream, and he don't really like the dream thing either. So you know what? Let me kind of just, stay in my own lane. Just kind of put in my pocket what God is saying to me. Let me keep that in the inbox of my soul. Let me not share everything with everybody, because I can see by the evidence of their response that they're not genuinely happy for me. Let me not go off and tell people, hey, guess what? I think I found my husband, when they still single. Let me not tell people, yo, I'm starting this business, when they having financial difficulties. Let me not tell you, oh, I'm getting ready to buy this house while you trying to struggle to pay the rent on your apartment. Let me take my cues, if not from their verbal, definitely from their reaction, definitely from the fact that I look a little bit more excited than you. And you know what? I understand people enough to know that when I keep shining above you, it kind of makes jealousy and envy enter the chat. And a lot of people handle that differently. A lot of people handle that where it harms the person. So let me go ahead and digress and catch the bubble and catch the spirit of the shut up, because I may be speaking to my own demise. That would have been wise for Joseph to think that way. Oh, but he doesn't. How do we know? Because right after telling them the dream in verse 11, verse 12 says, soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture his father's flocks at Shechem. 13, when they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready, and I will send you to them. I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. 14, go and see how your brothers and the flocks are getting along, Jacob said. Then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. 15, when he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. 16, I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep? 17, yes, the man told them. They have moved on from here, but I heard them say, let's go to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. Pause. Bro, did you not see the way of escape? Did you not see? When they heard about my dream, they felt some kind of way. Daddy is sending me to go to them. I'm not going to tell Daddy no, so I'm going to go. Cool, they're not here. I'm going to go back and be like, I went, but they're not there. Where are they? I didn't ask. Daddy, now that we here, quick question. Can you send one of the servants? Because I really don't think that me going off and tattletelling even the more on them is going to curate an environment that, benefits anybody. It may harm me. And maybe Joseph kind of like use that favoritism to your advantage. I don't know. Tell them you don't feel good. Say, hey, can you send somebody else? If you don't want to tell them you scared, if you don't want to tell them, I don't really want to tell my brothers no more, do something. Like, why you not using your favor to your advantage? You know your father favors you over your brothers, but your father doesn't know how to utilize and optimize you among your brothers. Your father is putting you in harm's way. So your father's not aware. You're not aware. And so guess what that's doing? That is putting a concoction together that's going to have you more wiped out than bleach in an average household item. Sometimes, if you're not aware enough to protect your own self, at least be aware of the favor and use it to your own advantage. Hey, Dad, can we go together? Yeah, because I know they're not going to do nothing stupid with you. Hey, Dad, can you send somebody with me? Why are we not putting ourselves in a predicament that allows for us to be compliant, but also wise? You got that supervisor telling you to link up with a coworker that you know don't like you? You got a situation happening that you keep pairing yourself up and you're like, ooh, how do I say? if you don't know how to say no, at least ask for company, at least ask for more counsel, because most time people are trying to isolate you to do what they know they can't do in front of other people. Why do you think Cain told Abel, hey, let's go out in the field? Why you just didn't murk your brother in front of your parents? Because people and the enemy don't work like that. They wait till you are away from Adam to talk to you about the tree, Eve. They wait till you are away from Jesus to talk about how many shekels of silver you want to go ahead and sell him for, Judas. So stop letting people get you in an isolated situation, Uriah the Hittite, where now you don't have no choice. You out here, you don't have no covering, you don't have no wisdom, and there's no other opportunity because you left yourself by yourself. So if worst case scenario, if you don't know how to stand up for yourself, ask that somebody else come with you. Yeah, ask that somebody else come with you. Say you need a witness. Say you need company. Say you tired. Say something. But when something don't feel right, stop overriding that, please. Because guess what happened? We already know how this story goes, right? They see him coming. They like, we getting ready to kill him, sir. One of the brothers was like, let's not kill him. Let's sell our brother. Let's go ahead and let's sell him. Or no, let's put him in the pit. Little did they know God was going to have some Ishmaelites come at the proper time. And then they come up with the grand idea. Forget it. Let's just go ahead and sell him. Cool. So now he gets sold as a slave. So one would think that Joseph would be like, you know what? Valuable lesson. Not doing that again. Not going to put myself in compromising situations, especially when there's favor over my life, because I see that the favor over my life doesn't erase the envy in other people's eyes when they're viewing my life. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to let jealousy and envy enter the chat in a way that leads me to harm. One would think he would learn that. He don't. Genesis 39. I thought we just had this conversation. He was like, oh, I'm not self-aware enough to know when patterns are happening. I said, you know what? I'm just going to read. Verse 1, Genesis 39. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. 2, the Lord was with Joseph. So he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. 3, Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. 4, this pleased Potiphar. So he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. 5, from the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. 6, so Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. Joseph was very handsome and well-built young man. 7, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. Come and sleep with me, she demanded. 8, but Joseph refused. Look, he told her, my master trusts me with everything in his entire household. 9, no one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God. Pause. So that at this point, you went from having favor with your father and having a special robe to now favor with your heavenly Father and given favor in your new position. You got administrative responsibility. You got all this new, I'm talking about you just came to the field and they're already promoting you. You just came to the company and they're already promoting you. You just started working and your savings account looks great. You just started working and your salary looks better than people who have been working for 20 some odd years. And that favor, when it was with your brothers, made them jealous. But now the favor that God is putting on you is making Potiphar's wife look at you lustfully. Understand that favor is always going to produce the wrong thing in the eyes of the wrong people. And so you have to move with wisdom. So one would think that Joseph would have some archived information to be like, time out. When I had favor with my dad, my brothers low key felt some kind of way. And I was sharing with them like, oh, these are my dreams, and they didn't like that. And then when I went ahead and just thought like, oh, okay, they won't look at me different, and I went to go tattletale on them again, they put me in a pit. And then they sold me ultimately to be a slave. So note to self from past situation, I'm going to move different. When there's favor, I'm going to move a certain way because I can't control the favor, but I can control how I maneuver around the people that show that they're irritated and agitated by my favor. So when that coworker shows like, oh, she ain't never been nice to me, then I know, ooh, okay, note to self. So around you, I got to move a little differently. And it is called wisdom. So one would think that Joseph will go ahead and have grasped some of that from the previous situation. Oh, no, he doesn't. Because one would think in this situation, he's like, wait a minute. I think I'm seeing a pattern. God gave me favor. That favor trickled down to me getting promoted in Potiphar's house. Now his wife is looking at me like a certain way. I'm aware that her looking at me in this way is only because of my favor, and it's only because of the predicament or the promotion that Potiphar gave me. So you know what? I'm going to move differently. Nope. Verse 10. She kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her. And he kept out of her way as much as possible. Pause. Not enough. What you mean day after day? How does she keep realizing where you're at? How does she keep realizing what you're doing? And why you not showing up different? Why you ain't bringing somebody else with you? You have administrative responsibility. Guess what? That means you get to write the job description. You know what? Effective as of yesterday. Now when I come into Potiphar's house, I'm going to have 2 more attendants with me. They are going to do A, B, and C. You get to curate and create this thing the way that you want. Why don't you create an atmosphere that is for your safety? What you mean day after day she's doing A, B, and C, and you try to keep out of her way as much as possible? Whatever you're doing is not working. Don't you realize that? Verse 11. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. Pause. Joey, what did I just tell you? The enemy always wants to isolate before he destroys. What did I always tell you? What did I just tell you a few seconds ago? You can't hear me? Because you're in the Bible? It's okay. I'm still going to talk to you this way. Stop letting the enemy isolate you to the point that you don't realize this is peculiar, so that you can move different and move with wisdom. Stop letting these patterns go over your head. You see it. Why you not moving different? Back to verse 11. One day, however, no one else was around when he went to do his work. Oh, what a coincidence. Resume. 12. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, "Come on, sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hand, and as he ran from the house. 13. When she saw that she was holding his cloak and he had fled. 14. She called out to her servants. Soon all the men came running. "Look," she said, "my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us. He came into my room to blank me." I won't say that word, but I screamed. 15. When he heard me scream, he ran outside and got away, but he left his cloak behind with me. 16. She kept the cloak with her until her husband came home. 17. Then she told him her story. "The Hebrew slave you brought into our house tried to come in and fool around with me," she said. 18. But I screamed. He ran outside, leaving his cloak with me. Pause. So we know that after this, Potiphar was upset. He throws him into the prison, right? And, the favor wasn't where Potiphar thought it was. Yeah, it wasn't in the house. It was housed in Joseph. So even when Joseph went to the prison, he had favor, which ultimately led him to the palace. And yeah, it worked out for his good. But the real thing is, did it have to be this way though? Did it have to be pit, Potiphar's house, prison, and then the palace? Perhaps the decisions that Joseph made led him to these particular places, and God allowed for it to happen because God allowed for it to work into his good. But maybe, just maybe, it could have worked out differently. I believe it to be so. We will never know because of the decisions that Joseph made. But maybe it didn't have to be that you had to go through that many relationships, that many heartbreaks before you found your spouse that you really felt like God sent to you. Maybe, just maybe, you didn't have to hit that financial low for you to realize, oh, we need to do something different. I think I'm going to go ahead and tweak and do A, B, and C for you to win financially. Maybe, just maybe, you didn't have to get burned by that particular family member, that particular friend. Maybe, just maybe, it didn't have to work that way. But God is a promise keeper. And he said, you know what? Even though you put yourself in that predicament, I'm going to have it work out for your purpose. I'm going to have it work out for your good. I'm going to go ahead and concoct this. Okay, you added ingredients I didn't intend, but I'm going to make the recipe work. I'm going to make all of this work together so that the finalized product will be the palace. But I am starting to believe that it didn't have to start that way. Just because the end goal is the palace, I do not believe he had to start at the pit. I believe his decisions to not adhere to certain external cues and patterns led him the bumpy way there. We do not have to take the bumpiest road to purpose. Why don't you listen and acknowledge the ways of escape? Why don't you see Delilah setting you up? Why don't you see your brothers and your father don't support you? Why don't you see she's going to cause some issues because she finds me attractive? Why don't you see now that I'm married, I can't speak to old boy no more because I already know what he's waiting on? Like, why don't you adhere to the pattern so that you don't take the bumpy road to your purpose? That's my challenge to you. My challenge to you is to look at your life and see the things that you overcame, praise God, but look at the fact that could it have been a smoother road so that you can learn from your brothers in that situation that happened with your father and all of that, so that when you get to your new season of Potiphar's house, that you don't have to again take the bumpy road there. Look at the patterns, look at the external cues, and ask yourself, where do I need to walk in wisdom so that I'm not taking the bumpiest ride to my palace, to the promise, to the thing that I was called for? I don't want to show up with calluses. You don't want to show up to the person that was intended to be your spouse with so many heart wounds that you literally need several sessions of therapy, not to work it out with your current spouse, but to heal what the previous people did before them. And praise God for counseling and praise God for healing. But some of that you could have avoided. You knew this felt wrong. You were trying to blindly jump into certain things. And yeah, ignorance is not bliss, baby. It's not. You knew something felt off on the office and you were like, I'm just going to keep showing up professionally. Like, no, you need to go back to God with the cues that you see, and you like, God, you're allowing me to see this for a reason. How do you want me to factor this into my life? How do you want me to factor this into the way that I speak or the way that I carry myself? How do you want me to implement this information? Because if I don't do anything with it and I'm aware of it, then that means that I'm being wasteful if I don't come to you and ask you, what do I do with these ingredients? What do I do with these variables? God, the economy is doing that. Do you still want me to focus on this financially? God, I thought I was supposed to be doing this, but I'm starting to feel pulled, like you're tugging me this way because my peripheral is showing me this in the spirit. So should I still be like, you need to be aware, and awareness is key, because literally that's the way that God was able to lead Joseph and Mary when she was pregnant. He was like, hey, don't take the boy that way. Take him over there. Hey, go back over there and go do the census. Da, da, da. Like, you have to be aware when the variables are changing so that you know how to switch up and move in wisdom. Do you understand that? That's my prayer for you, real talk. Because I hate to say it, we don't always have to have the testimony that looks like rock bottom. But I think the honest truth is that we didn't adhere to those other escapes, to those other, like, hey, this is an opportunity for you to stop seeing Delilah. Hey, this is opportunity not to be so close to your brothers because they really don't like you, high key. Like, maybe this is an opportunity. We're not ceasing the opportunity. And what God is doing is he's making sure that he stays a man of his word. And so he's making sure that it doesn't crumble us, but it definitely wounds us. It definitely puts us in a predicament that we don't look at people in life the same. And we got to work really, really hard with, no, I want to keep my smile. I want to keep my joy. I want to keep my peace. I want to keep and you're trying to keep up something in wrong situations. Sometimes you need to store it and hide it. Sometimes you just need to store it and put it up for a little while, because you can't be smiling when everybody else is suffering. That don't mean you got to suffer too, but that means be cautious of how often you're smiling. It may turn people against you. And I know you looking at it like, well, if I can't share my dreams with my family, then who can I share it with, God? Well, if I can't do good work in Potiphar's house, then where am I supposed to do it? Outside the field when his wife is not home? Stop making it seem like you don't have no other choice. Of course you do. Why is God showing you all these external signs? Huh? Would you need him to come down? You need the archangel to come down and be like, hey, so last Tuesday, he was trying to tell you, you need somebody to tell you that. Come on, we smarter than that. We read this Bible. We see other people's stories. We have prior testimonies. How many times you want to show up and be like, yo, I knew I should have. You want to, I knew I should have testimony. I don't want that testimony. I don't want that to be my new middle name. Do you? Move in wisdom, B. Come on, like, you understand? Like, at this point, like, what we doing? We got to do better. And it don't require for you to be no psychic. It don't require for you to be, just as wise and omniscient. You don't need to be God. You just need to be aware. Aware of what's happening and apply so that you can move in wisdom. Be aware of what they doing so you could be like, oh, I got to stop having lunch with A, B, and C. Oh, that puts a target on my back when I do. Oh, when I share that, you don't really, oh, okay. And just pick up. You don't got to change up. Pick up what they putting down so you could be like, heard you. And how do you respond? You move different. You understand? I feel this thing so strongly on me because a lot of us are experiencing things that God never intended just because we didn't pick up. Since when the serpent started talking to you about the tree? Since when such and such started calling you, asking you about somebody else? Since when somebody started asking you to borrow money? Since when? Like, what's happening? Time out. What's happening here? And just be wise enough to take an assessment of, this is new. Hold on. This is becoming a pattern. When I tell you about my dream, you get upset. Just be aware. Just be aware. It probably will save you more wounds than what you've been accumulating in the past. Do you understand that? All right, listen. I feel like you got what you needed. You know what these conversations are, though, right? They are life-provoking conversations that not the average person is going to have with you, but who? Your favorite homegirl. And I double dare you, and I challenge you, and all the other things that are supposed to be said with this, for you to move different so that you can live a different life. Do you understand that? I'm going to go ahead and let me go. We'll talk later. All right, later.